All right, everyone, back at the lake. First hand, I look down at ace, king, jack, 9, single suited in middle position. There are 2 early position limpers. I make it 30, and only one of the limpers calls, so we're going heads up to a flop. Well, comes 9-9-8 rainbow. My opponent checks to me. I bet 45, and he folds, so we take it down. Here, look down at queen, jack, 9-9, single suited under the gun. I limp. There are 3 late position limpers. Over to the small blind, who makes it 30 total. Folds to me. I call, and there are 3 other callers, so we're going 5 ways to a flop. Well, comes ace-6-3 with 2 clubs. The original raiser bets 120 over to me. Not a great idea to call large bets with naked flush draws, especially when it's not the nut flush draw. Plus, I also have 3 opponents behind me. If I was last to act, closing out the action here against this player, I would consider calling, but as such, I decide to fold. Here, look down at king, jack, 10-9, single suited on the button. There are 2 early position limpers. Late position player makes it 30. I call, and there are 2 other callers, so we're going 4 ways to a flop. This hand actually ended up getting checked down all the way to the river. Flop came queen 2-2, turn brought a 5, river brought a 6, and one of the early position players made a 8 high flush and took it down. Here, look down at queen, jack, 10-9, double suited on the button. There are 2 early position limpers. Cutoff makes it 30. I call, and there are 2 other callers, so we're going 4 ways to a flop. Flop comes jack 3-2 with 2 diamonds. Checks over to me. I bet 110, and only 1 early position player calls, so we're going heads up to a turn. Turn brings a king, so a pretty good card for us, now giving us a wrap plus a flush draw plus the pair of jacks. So my opponent checks to me, and I want to continue putting the pressure on him. He's definitely most likely going to have a draw of some sort here. So I bet 330, and my opponent snap calls. So we're going heads up to a river. River brings a queen, now giving us the king high straight. My opponent checks to me, and I just put my remaining 35 in the middle, and my opponent looks disgusted and mucks his hand. So based on the fact that he couldn't call 35, he probably had either 4-5-6 or maybe like ace 5-4 with the nut flush draw potentially. So we're going to take it down here. Here, look down at ace, jack 2, single suited in middle position in a straddled pot. Under the gun makes it 30. I call, and there are 3 other callers, so we're going 5 ways to a flop. Flop comes 9-5-2 rainbow. Checks to me. I bet 50, and there are 2 callers, so we're going 3 ways to a turn. Turn brings a 3, bringing the backdoor flush draw. Checks to me. I decide to check, take a free card, and late position player checks back as well. So we're still going 3 ways to a river. River brings a 10, checks to me again. I check, late position player checks back. Early position player shows queen 10, 9, 7. So he rivered 2 pair, and he's going to take it down. Here, look down at ace, queen 9, single suited in the big blind. There are 2 late position limpers. Small blind makes it 25 total. I call, and the 2 limpers call. So we're going 4 ways to a flop. Flop comes queen 6 with 2 clubs. Checks to me. I bet 75, and only the button calls, so we're going heads up to a turn. Turn brings a 6 of spades, bringing in the backdoor flush draw. I bet 250 over to my opponent, who thinks for a couple seconds and then pots it back over to me. I ended up tanking for over a minute here. I've played with this opponent enough that he should put me on pretty much exactly what I have. So I don't believe he has 6s, as I believe he would have raised with that on the flop. And if he didn't raise with it, he would probably just flat call the turn with quads here, as he doesn't want to scare off anything else. So I either put him on queen 6, which is obviously more unlikely now that there's 2 6s on board, or I kept talking myself into him having a hand similar to myself, like an ace queen, or even just like a queen with 3 overcards, maybe with a flush draw as well. So I eventually made the call, and we're going heads up to a river. River brings a 5, so no help to me, and my opponent says queen 6 and turns over queen 6, 4-4. So flop the boat, turn kind of disguised his hand a little bit, and he's going to take it down here. So I rebuy another $600 and look down at 6-5-3-3 double suited in the big blind. There's an early position raised to 15, 3 callers to me, and I call. So we're going 5 ways to a flop. Flop comes ace 4-2 rainbow. Checks to me. I check over to the button, who bets 45. Folds to me. I make it 165, and back over to him, and he folds. So that's how I get revenge on my opponents. I give them $900 and I get 45 back. So not too bad. Here, look down at queen 10, 8-6, double suited on the button. There's an early position raised to 15. 2 callers to me, I call, and one of the blinds call. So we're going 5 ways to a flop. Flop comes ace 10-3 rainbow. Checks over to me, and I check back as well. So still going 5 ways to a turn. Turn brings another 10, checks over to the middle position player who bets 45. Player to my right calls. I then make it 125, back to the middle position player who only has about $200 left. He puts it all in the middle. Player to my right folds, and I make the call. So we're going heads up to a river. River brings a pretty good card for us in a queen. I turn over my hand, and then my opponent turns over his. He has Jack 10, 5-4, so he also had trips, and we're going to take it down here. Here, look down at Ace King 10-9, single suited under the gun. I open a 20 and both the blinds call, so we're going 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes 9-8-4 rainbow. Checks to me. I decide to check back as it's going to be a better flop for their ranges, so we're still going 3 ways to a turn. Turn brings another 9. Both my opponents check to me. I bet 45 and both players fold, so we take it down. Here, look down at Ace King Queen Queen, single suited on the button. Folds over to the hijack who opens a 20. Cutoff to my right makes it 60. I call, back to the hijack who also makes the call. So we're going 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes 10-8-7 with 2 diamonds. The hijack check dark, over to the cutoff who bets 150, over to me. I don't really like calling huge bets with just naked flush draws, so I decided to raise here to potentially get at least one of my opponents to fold and make it 450. Over to the hijack who thinks for a bit and he pushes it all in the middle. He has about the same stack as me. Then the cutoff doesn't think too long before pushing all in as well. So not really the result I wanted, but obviously at this point I just gotta go with it. So I call and we're going 3 ways to a run out. Turn brings in the front door flush and a 3 of diamonds. The river doesn't change the fact that we have the nuts in a 5 of clubs. So I turn over my hand. The hijack turns over King King Jack 9. So he flopped the straight. And then the cutoff turns over Queen 9 7 6. So he flopped the straight as well. And then turned the queen high flush draw. So we're going to take it down here. After the hand was over, the hijack made a comment and said, I don't really know why I made the dark check. And the cutoff says, yeah, if you don't dark check, I'm going to probably raise once you bet. And then, you know, speaking to me, he's like, you probably don't win the hand. So it actually ended up working out because the hijack said he probably would have bet around 150. And the cutoff would have made it probably around what I made it, around 450, 500. And then in that situation, I probably would have had to fold, you know, instead of raising, you know, with some potential fold equity with my flush draw, I would have had to call off most of it, which, you know, would have been a pretty bad play. So luckily it worked out for us and, you know, we win a pretty nice sized pot here. I played a little while longer after the Ace King Queen Queen hand, didn't get a ton to play, and I decided to rack up.
What's up, guys? Wayne back here with you. So today I was in for 1200, out for 2341, so a profit of 1141. If you haven't already done so, check out my previous video. I'll link it up here, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.